fine or anything, and you definitely want to use, is Ellen here? He's over here. Ellen. Owen, you grab a rubber mallet, please. I'm going to show them what not to use. Okay. You want to have a hammer, not a rubber mallet. Okay. Rubber mallet, no good. Hammer. Okay. Okay, so what you want to do, have that, because this, when you have to tap things together, this has a tendency to bounce. You want something to shock something, because once the glue starts setting up, you won't move it around very easily with this. You want to have a block of wood where you're hitting, something that's really good and hard to actually move it. So now when I put this together here, take my clamp here, just snug these up, and here, get this in tighter, get reasonably close here, pull these guys up here, and I can turn this in, and the clamp will pull it into place. And one thing too, before you start, do yourself a favor. See how this is not lined up here? You want to put it together so it's lined up from the get-go, because you're going to have trouble with the glue. You're going to have trouble moving it. See, I'm proud here. So if you have that situation there, then take it loose and use your workpiece as a tool. So here, when I put this in here, see, here's where, now once that glue starts setting up, if I use the rubber mallet, okay, it's just going to bounce on there. Okay, thank you. Now it's moving, but if that glue was on there, this would just bounce, it wouldn't move. Whereas a block and a hammer, that's really going to, it's going to shock it and move it. Okay, so, you can move it around once the glue's on, but you want to do it relatively quick. So you would glue this end up, one clamp, that end up, let it dry for, half an hour, then you can take the clamp off and then glue it this way. It's a lot easier to do it that way at home. But don't forget this here, because I'm warning you, see, I can see how much movement I have on this. So if I clamp it up a little bit crooked, that's going to really throw off the squareness of my table. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to dry clamp this up here. And when we put the project together, again, here you can tap it, have Robin hold on to that. You can tap it together, but here again, don't smack right on the wood now. See, I can close this up. And now, when the glue's on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to make sure that I'm all level all the way around. Before you put the clamps on. Do that first, and then, so if it's a little bit out of whack, you can correct for it. Then, you always want to go through your clamping sequence before,
Question?
yes.
So it's obviously, it's absolutely vital to have a completely flat tip to blow up.
Yeah, pretty doggone flat. But, I mean, even, it's not as critical as like when we did that stack on the carrying board for the planing the board, where we had that carrying board that took the board through the planer. That's real critical. This, over the long distance, as long as it's not really crooked, it's not that critical. It's a good idea to have as flat a table as you can, but it's not absolutely a deal breaker. You can get by. Plus, you can also see if it's not lined up. So if it's not lined up and you're having trouble, you can put a board underneath there and tap it and to move it where you want to as well. You can play around with it.
That little board that you made there, do you make a long one too?
No. All you need is just one for either end here, or just even one for one end, and then clamp that, let that dry, then do the other one. Because once this is together, you're going to put both those together, and then you can check it for square. You don't need one to go the long way. It's just a little trick to keep it, to ensure that you don't get, crookedness in it. Now, when you clamp it up, you want to put that in there and make sure that you can indeed clamp it home with that in place. Did I do it? Yeah. Okay. Losing my mind. Okay, so now what you're going to need, your little cull board should not be big, thick blocks of wood. This is not correct. You want thinner boards, but not so thin that you can bend that you can transfer the metal clamp, smash into the wood. But if you have them too thick, you can't clamp it in two formats. Okay, so see this right here, when I put that on, it's going to move it out too far that I can't put little boards on both sides. You'll see what we mean in a second here. So you can, because we're going to glue this up all at once, you can either glue up. What you cannot do is you can't put a clamp on here and then a clamp this way, because see, you have to be in the middle, right? So what we'll do instead is we'll put two clamps on this end and one clamp in the middle that way, or two long clamps and one in the middle this way. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to put your pressure on with the clamp crooked, where you're clamping it together weird. So now this is what I'm talking about here. You see this will go in here and this here, right? And then after we clamp this guy, pull that together. And you notice where my board is. It's not in here. It's right in line where I want my pressure to go. So I'll put this, and the other thing is, you want to start, let me move down this way. You want to start at the one corner of your table so you can turn your clamps both ways. If you're starting in the middle, you can't turn the clamp because it's going to hit the table. Okay, so we'll put this on here. Snug that up, and you notice how I left the finger room in here. This is what I'm talking about here. See, if I would put this board in here, see I'll be all the way out here? So the idea here is that we use skinnier boards. Here. See how I can get my boards in this way to clamp at the same time. So now, I'll take this long guy here, and put it. So now we can clamp everything all at once. So we're just stacking them up here. I pull that guy in. We'll do this side here. I need more throw here so you can push it. Okay, that clamps up there. I'll put two clamps on this. Okay, so you see, by having the two, we're centering the pressure that we're not tilting these legs off place. So you put the two together there, and now when you're going to flip it over to check it to make sure everything is sweet on the top. So don't yank it by the clamps. Try to grab it by the clamps and the project. See I'm grabbing kind of both. So let's flip this over. Okay. And now what I'm looking for is I'm going to look to make sure that all these are sweet up top. So even with, to answer Charlie's question, even on this table that's pretty flat, feel this is not lined up here? Over here?